Hi, Rob Audrey here with WhatMoreLeads.com's insider training. Today we're going to be talking about farming. And so there's two main categories. There's geographic and demographic, and we'll dive into those. So here we go. Let's first start off with geographic farming. Before we go into like the whats and the hows, let's talk about, how do you pick a farm? Well, you have to pick something that has at least a 6% turnover ratio. And let me share that with you. So, example, if you had 1,000 unit farm, 1,000 homes, you'd want at least 6%, which would be 60 homes a year would sell. And so what that means is your job as a business owner is to control 20%. And so that would be 12 listings that sell inside that farm. Now, there's more to it than that, because let's say, you take 15 listings, 12 sell, 3 don't sell for whatever reason, it doesn't matter. And so you take 15 listings throughout the course of a year, right? And so if you had 15 listings throughout the course of a year, you're going to get yard sign calls. You should pick up at least 4 transactions out of that. So we're up to 16 now. Now, out of the 12 that actually do sell, it's very conceivable that 6 will buy something else. Excuse me. So you take that 16, 12 listings sell, 4 buyer sign calls, and then 6 your sellers buy something else. That's 22 transactions. And so, if your average commission is around 10 grand for what it just depending on your price range, your percentage, whatever you charge, that kind of stuff. So with today's prices, 10 grand is not inconceivable. That's 220,000 gross. And now there's a lot that goes into how do you pick that. And it's not easy. You need a couple systems. One, you need the MLS, and 2, you need some kind of county record sorting, where you can box. So you look at an area and say, how many homes are selling? Then you got to determine how many homes are in that area. Very tedious process, but once done, you own the process. You own that data, and then you work that process over and over and over. Because see, once a farm gets going, it's you can duplicate it, and you can even move over to another area and pick up another 1,000 units. What if you went and what if you took your first one and financed 4 more? Now you're up to 5,000. If you're making 220,000 gross minimum, what if now you're looking at $1.1 million if you had 5 farms. But we start off with 1, and I recommend 1,000. Now you have to be prepared to go the long haul. This is a marathon. This is not something I mailed once, it didn't work. This is something you have to go on, after time after time after time. I recommend in the beginning you do a mailer every 3 weeks for a few months, and then this scale it back to once a month after that. And there's more things we can do about that. We'll talk about that. Excuse me. So let's talk about what do you do, right? You have a farm, so you want to do obviously a mailing, and you want to do door knocking. You probably door knock 3 times a year, ideally 4, depending on your climate where you live. I live in high elevation mountains, and so wintertime, it's dark at 5:15, cold. It's not a very good door knocking time of year. So you can get in at least 3 good door knockings, and so you got your mailers, and then you got your door knockings, and then I recommend you do a couple. At least 2 benevolent activities a year. One where you do in the springtime do a food drive for the food banks, and then in the wintertime you do a coat drive for that. And so what you do with that is you incorporate the scout troops, the local scout troop. So you bring them in and you do all the campaigning, the marketing, and that kind of stuff, and just say, hey, leave your bag of food out on the step. We'll come by on Saturday. We'll pick it up. We'll have the scout troop. And then you're driving, like, say, a pickup truck or a wagon, whatever, something that can hold all the food. And you don't, I'm sorry, you're not driving. You have somebody else driving. You have magnets on the car or whatever. You're kind of walking. You're shaking hands and kissing babies, right? As the scouts are running up and down, you're the one that's communicating to all the people in the area. And so what else it does too is it involves the scout. So now all those kids are telling their parents what they're doing that day, obviously. And so it incorporates a lot. So you're helping the scout troop earn badges. You're you're helping a food bank or a coat drive, whatever, and you're help growing your business. You're letting the farm know that you're not just a salesperson. You have a heart that cares. You're a human being. And so that, you can do that for those two benevolence a year. And then possibly, I always say a third is a birthday party every year. So you just throw it in the middle of the summer. Hopefully the neighborhood has a little park with a pavilion, and you bring hot dogs, maybe cotton candy machine, that type of thing, snow cone machine, have a couple bouncy houses, things like that, maybe some face painting. You incorporate your partners, mortgage, insurance, title, just to come at least help with labor and that whatnot. And so you do things like that, and then say what it is. If whoever, if your birthday's sometime in this year, then, in the year, whatever, between January and December, then happy birthday, come on over. Things like that. You can have a table set up with information about the farm, real estate information. You can do a lot. And so, so that's a third thing to do. And so that's 3 events a year. And then, so you do the food in the spring, the birthday party in the summer, and then do the coats in the fall. And again, it kind of falls in line with the door knocking, where you're only really getting 3 of them. And so that's those. And now let's talk about some basic marketing. So you need a website, and you don't have to have a separate standalone website. You can have your own you say your IDX site or whatever website you have. You do what I call a site inside a site. And what that means is you buy a domain and you point it to that particular page, and that page could have like maybe 4 or 5 menu navigation, its own, and each one of those pages has that same navigation set of buttons. And what it is, you have a page that all the homes for sale in the area. You have a page that talks about the area, when it was built, how many homes. Possibly if you knew who the developer and the builder was, the style of homes that are in there, that type of stuff. The price ranges, the average, the square footage ranges, and things like that. What school service is at. So that would be a general information page. Then you can have a page that talks about what's for sale in there. Then you can even build like a classified page for people that want to advertise stuff in there, or just go over to Facebook and create a community page for that, a page just for that group where people, that neighborhood, and just start inviting everybody to it, via postcards and whatnot, door knocking, and just things like that. So the goal is, and remember, this is a long haul. This takes about 18 months to 2 years before you start to see consistency. Doesn't mean you won't do any transactions in the meantime, but it takes that long time to really entrench yourself to where you start to own the farm. And owning the farm is 20% control. So that, that's it on that. So if you have any thoughts or questions, just feel free to reach out to me. Now let's talk about demographic farming, right? So demographic can go into professions, right? So divorce attorneys, right? They call it family law. I never understood family law because it's like really anti-family if you think about it. So you have divorce attorneys, you have estate planners and accountants. Those are demographics of professions. Those are professional demographics. And so there's others that you could do, like people demographics. Renters, right? They usually live in apartment complexes. Well, we know that everybody in an apartment complex, for the most part, if they live there primarily, they don't have a primary home. They may own a rental property, you never know, but they don't own a home. And so you have that, and that's kind of a hybrid because they fall into a demographic, and because they're in one little area, that's kind of a geographic as well. But you have others, you have seniors, right? You can start farming, what do you call it? 55 plus communities. Those, and then people go after those. Those are nice. Those are usually cash buyers. And they usually have a listing to sell those buyers. So if you're marketing them and you're picking up those listings, your buyers usually have something to sell, and they're usually cash when they buy yours. So you sell their listing and buy yours. So that's a good one there. Another one here, and this one's a little unique, right? So this one here, let's say you take a step-up neighborhood, right? Something that's, say a 2-story step up, right? So not your entry-level 2-story. You want something maybe a second or third tier 2-story home that, a little larger, but the kick is you want people that have owned them for at least 20 years. So you can go, spread that out throughout your county or whatever, your area. And so if you had a list of those, say 5, 6, 700 of these 2-story homes that are, step ups, and they've owned them for at least 20 years. Those are, and then, you just start marketing to them. I mean, these are not your door knocker because they're spread out all over. Remember, this is demographic and not a geographic. And so, but what if you started mailing them a Rambler, right? Tired of stairs, one level living, things like that. And just, targeting those. And then the professionals, you might want to have a standalone site for that, but you could still do the site within a site, but you want to give them information that relevant to them. For example, like a divorce attorney. What does a divorce attorney need to know? They need 3 things: who's on title, what's it worth, and what do they owe, right? And, how much. So those are the 3 major things that they need to know. So why not offer that to them free of charge, right? We can give you a free CMA, and you can do a quick title report to tell you who's on title. I mean, you don't have to do a whole title report. You just go to the county, look it up, and say, here's the recorded owners, here's your estimated value. And then with the county, you can look up, if they recorded a mortgage, trust deed, say 7 years ago, whatever the date is, you see the amount, you just go to an Excel amortization calculator, drop in that amount on that date, scroll down to today, and say, this is roughly what they owe, based on the idea that no extra payments and it's a 30-year loan, that type of stuff. So, there's certain things we don't know, and you can maybe give them 2. If they had a 15-year mortgage, that's what they owe. If they had a 30-year, that's what they owe. So, and then of course the attorney would ask those questions. So anyway, so that's, some information on demographic farming. You just have to target them and give them what they want. Remember, this is not a short term. This is not a sprint. This is a long haul marathon. So you need to be prepared to go to distance, and I'm talking 18 months, 2 years, before you see consistency. Like I said, you'll make money in the meantime, but to see consistency. Now, the cool part is if you generate a farm, 1,000 units, and let's say you go next door and generate another 1,000 units, and now next thing you know, you got a 5,000 unit farm, you could actually sell that business in the future. Think about that. That's a sellable thing. And if you got something generating several $100,000 a year in gross revenue, and you can do it consistently, and you can sell the whole system, the database, everything, because somebody to start over would cost a lot of money, a lot of time, and so they can just move right in and start taking over the income stream. So that's the real value of farming. So if you have any questions, just call me. Be glad to chat with you. 801-999-8209. Again, 801-999-8209. Again, Rob Aubrey, insider training from whatmoreleads.com. Make it an amazing day.